values are low to where Tom can come in and make an acquisition. Because if the values were high and Tom came in, I'd like to buy your property for this price, the guy would laugh at him. But because he's in trouble in the erosion of the net operating income, the values are eroding. Because if the values were there, then the owner would not have any trouble right now. So the erosion of the net operating income is the direct result of the erosion of the rents. So if you're focusing on the rents, you understand that. If someone's managing the property poorly, they're really what they're doing is eroding the value of the asset. So you're the gatekeepers. As property managers, your job, that's why I took you through this whole financial thing this morning, this whole financial module this morning, because you have to understand your job affects the value of the asset. You are the gatekeeper. It is the alpha and omega. You are the beginning and the end of the project. End of story. If you mismanage it from a day-to-day, I can buy it right all day long. And as soon as I go back to Tampa and leave Boca, and I put you in charge of the property, and you mismanage that asset, my values are gone. That's why you have to understand your job is extremely important. So when you're not collecting rents, or a tenant is 2 or 3 months behind, now you can understand how that can affect the bottom line. Or you're not paying attention to what the vendor contracts are doing. You're not negotiating every quarter with vendors and trying to negotiate a better deal for yourself. Or if you're allowing just, Tom Jones AC to come out and charge you, $500 for a free on charge or whatever it is. If you're not controlling the expenses on the property, how all that affects the value of the asset. Every bit affects. If you're not raising the rents up after renewals, all of that affects the bottom line of the asset. At the end of the day, the value and the return that he or she, that investor, can get. Okay? So understand, you guys are the gatekeepers. We're going to take anybody have any questions before we take our break and get into position? Now we're in phase 2. What is phase 2? 5 phases of property management, guys. What is phase 2? Implementation. Thank you, Alice. So now we're implementing our systems. All right? Marketing systems, leases, application, all lease and application, all that is marketing. Okay? It's just a form of marketing. How do we market in a recession right now? Because I don't know about you, but obviously now is the time where the president's looking for his term or his repeat term, and his competitors now are looking to jump for position. So the bottom line is what everybody's talking about. The key word now is the economy. Okay, where's the economy headed? How do we move forward, and where we are in the economy? Is it up? Is it down? As far as I'm concerned, it's, from a rental standpoint, in certain areas it's good, certain areas it's still a little slow. The middle income is still a lot more affected than certain income, at least from my standpoint, and it's still affected a heck of a lot more. So, hours are being cut back, wages are being reduced, things like that. So how do you market your rental units in a recession? Okay, let's talk about some of the tips that we tell our property managers. Number 1, you got to spend smarter. What do you think I mean by spend smarter? What does that mean? You got to spend smarter.
Shop around.
Shop around, you got to spend smarter. So, advertisements in the newspapers for $40 for 2 cents might not be, the most economical solution for us. We also want to focus on current tenants. So we want to focus on current tenants. A bird in the hand is worth more than 2 in the bush. Referrals. Okay? Referrals. Outmarket your competitors through pricing, qualifying criteria, discounts, perceived needs, and work with local employers. Put a star next to qualifying criteria. At your last resort, you'll want to tamper with the qualifying criteria. I'm not big on tampering with qualifying criteria because from my personal experience, I lowered the qualifying criteria at one of the properties, and it quickly turned into Dodge City. So the energy that it takes to manage that asset was increased tenfold by my decision to lower the qualifying standards at the property. Now, I looked at a situation to where previously I had vacant units. But the vacant units, if you remember what King Solomon said, an empty unit stays clean, but there's no income in an empty unit. Right? Losing money. But now, I lowered the income, and I no longer have, at least I had a clean unit. Now I no longer have a clean unit. I have a body in there destroying the unit, and on top of me not getting any rent. So, in my opinion, in this scenario, I would rather have a clean unit and no income versus a dirty unit and no income as well. And then dealing with the tenant telling me, well, staple it to my credit or you'll just have to evict it. So, it's more work for the management staff. And I increased their workload as well as the management staff was only getting, the percentage of gross. So they weren't making any more money, but they were dealing with 10 times the problems. So be careful with qualifying criteria. Working with employers, I would put a check mark with that because that helps. Right now, human resource departments are looking for services to offer their employers because they're having to cut back dental, medical, and things like that. So they're looking to work with individuals who supply housing and can offer discounts to their employers. So find the 2-3 largest employers in Boca and Fort Lauderdale and Miami in your area, and you'll want to work with the human resource department in that area. Work with them. Create some type of special employee packages, okay? And then always keep abreast of the landscape, the marketing landscape, because it changes. One day, 1 month free rent will work, and the next day it won't. When it stops working, it's time to change. Understand when the wheels fall off of that marketing campaign, understand sometimes it's, you got to put on a new set of tires, a new set of tread. So you got to be able to change with the economy. Keep your finger on the pulse of some of the, buzzwords. You're going to hear a lot of buzzwords in the next couple of, when is the election? Is it this year? Is it November? Next year or something? What is it? Yeah, between now and 2012, you're going to hear a lot of buzzwords of what so-called the people are feeling. Well, you have, as a marketing campaign, you got to play on those buzzwords. And understanding what the people of Boca are going through is going to be instrumental in understanding how to position some of your, like when the whole stimulus package, remember when that came out? Well, I took that stimulus package and I used that for my tenants. I came up with a stimulus package for them. They can pay a portion of their rent now and a portion of their rent, a week from now. So we came up with ways to increase income getting some income in without not getting income in at all. So we created what we call the stimulus package, and we had them sign it, and it allowed them to pay their rent in portions and they could do this twice. So we were playing off of the whole stimulus package Obama was using. So it was a buzzword.